If you don't know anything about rugby, don't talk.
Gregan. Drop goal from Larkham.
Australian 3-4, they've got the advantage.
Worst press conference. Well done, boys.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the G&GR Teams podcast for the week. I'm the Happyman. Sully and KARL are with me tonight to go through the teams for the week and what's on our minds. Evening, Sully. How are you going? Missed last week?
Yeah, evening, Happy. Hey, KARL. Thanks for having me on your show. It's great to get an invite.
I noticed last week was Sully's show, even though you weren't there, mate. So you remind me a bit of a Waratahs player getting into the bloody Wallabies. Actually, mate, you don't have to do anything and you still get all the credit.
Oh, yeah, I sat on this idea for this podcast for like 2 or 3 years, and now every man and his dog's got one. So you don't speak up, nothing happens, and then everyone gets the idea, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
KARL, how are you going, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Busy day at work. Good to be here and good to chat.
Yeah. I'm carrying a bit of a flu tonight, so if I sound a bit weirder than normal, that's the reason why. Just again, thanks for everyone for their support. Please download, rate, subscribe, review, and do all that sort of stuff on your platforms. We are on YouTube now, so you still won't get to see our ugly mugs because nobody needs that. But
fuck for that.
Exactly right. So yeah, again, thanks for all your support. Get on board. We help tell everyone you know about it. We're enjoying putting the show together. Today's podcast, ladies and gents, we're going to touch on a little bit of the week's news, probably a little bit more in depth about the games for the week because we've got a little bit more time with only 2 of them. We'll discuss the topics that grabbed their attention, what we liked, what we disliked, and have a bit of a rant at the end of it. Sully, what did you enjoy this week?
I can't pick anything out of last weekend. Like I was half asleep for most of the weekend after those night shifts, but I just thought it was after the disappointment on Friday night, I honestly thought the Reds and the Chiefs would be a close game, and after 25 minutes, it was all over. The Chiefs just came out with a brilliant game plan, and just the Reds weren't any in it, but it was a brilliant game plan, and every game over the weekend was just brilliant rugby from the teams that won, and great rugby from the teams that lost even. So yeah, it was just a great weekend of Super Rugby. I loved it. And I sat and watched every minute of the Reds losing. I didn't leave early. So yeah.
You did well. Yeah. KARL, what about you, mate?
Yeah, the rugby was obviously really good. It actually went a little bit as expected, especially in the Canes Brumbies Blues game. The team that's the underdog comes out. They've got one chance. They give it 100% or 110%. They're smashing into everything. So the first 20 or 30 minutes, it's really up in the air. And if any of those teams could have just done a little bit more in those first 30 minutes, it might have made a big difference. So I love the way they do that. People talk about, you got 12 teams and 8 of them in the finals. What a waste. But for me, the rugby was great. I love watching those teams come out and give it a 1,000,000% and scare the crap out of the bigger teams. And sure, the big teams come through in the end, but there's always that chance that they'll just keep going. And it was just good to see. I love that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, as a rugby fan, I actually enjoyed watching the Chiefs game and Reds game, and while that sounds a little bit silly, being a Red supporter, the rugby that the Chiefs played was just sublime. It was just really, their execution was good, and I actually reviewed it because I thought, were the Chiefs that good, or were the Reds terrible and all that? And statistically, the only place that the Chiefs actually dominated, which was evident, everyone was on the ground, and their work on the ground was fantastic. But sometimes, the Chiefs' third try, you just know it's not your night for your team, and guy goes within probably half a millimetre of stepping out, throws a miracle ball back inside, goes past 3 of your players and bounces perfect for the opposition. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're the hammer. Sometimes you're the nail. But that first 40 from the Chiefs was the best footy of the year for mine. Anyway,
And when
Yeah.
when the
Move on.
Reds tried to do the same thing, Uru broke out, had 3 Reds guys supporting him and 1 Chiefs guys running back, threw the pass inside, missed the 3 Reds guys and hit the Chiefs guys. So yeah,
yeah,
so you can't if it's not your night, it's not your night. But having said that, the Chiefs thoroughly deserve to win that.
yeah,
They found where they thought they had the advantage over the Reds, and they just exploited it, and it was great.
That game was coming ever since the Reds beat them, and the coaches had been watching and put in the game plan and designed a game plan to win. And to me, that was the best part about it when I looked at it. As you say there, Happy, the actual individual play wasn't that much different, but the game plan the Chiefs played based upon what the coaches had come up with was needed was, for me, the best part. It was just smart rugby by smart people, and
mate,
and that bodes well for New Zealand going forward. I just love that.
yeah, mate. To be honest, I'm at best an under 14 level coach. And even I could see from round 4 that if you could slow down the Reds' quick ball, you could beat them quite easily. And that'll be the growing part for that team, is they're going to have to learn how to play slightly differently. You've got to realise that's the first year of a new coach with that team. Really only got to recruit a couple of players. The team will look a lot more like his team next year.
Yeah.
They say it takes 3 years for a coach to bed in. So as a Reds
that's
fan,
the thing,
happy
though.
with
With the demise of the Rebels, like, he would have bought some players in next year normally, and now with the demise of the Rebels, the RA is going to want him to take on some of their players that he wouldn't have chosen normally. So
It'll be interesting how that goes, because
it may not be his team.
It'll be interesting how that goes, because my understanding is RA only pays top ups to test players, not the whole squad. So
that's correct.
So they can push the test players around because they're paying their wage, but some of those Rebels players, they're not going to have anyone who wants them. No one's paying. RA's not paying their wage. Rebels aren't going to pay their wage. They're going to have to look for something else. I think KISS will have a little bit more say in that. I don't think they're necessarily going to say to him, "You'll take these 2 players." I mean, then again, they're going to say that with bloody Suali at bloody at the Tars. So maybe you're right there, Sully. Maybe you're right, and there will be forced on them, and it will be an issue.
Well, they can't. No. Sorry, I've misspoke there. They can't force them on them, because now all their contracts that they had with RA are null and void.
Yep.
So they don't have any contracts, but they can suggest that they go to certain places and try and write new contracts for them.
Yeah, that'll be something to go into at a later stage, because my understanding is some players are contracted to RA and their clubs. So the club pays them an amount, and RA sits on top. So they might have a 2-year deal with RA, and then they negotiate with their super club. In going forward, that may change slightly with their centralisation model. So if you're, for example, a Lukan Solokai Loto, for example, he's got a deal with RA, I think, for this year and next. So they have his rights for him to play, and then he then works out which club he goes to from there. Anyway, it'll work out in the rush.
Or who wants him? Yeah.
Plenty of people want him, mate. He's a good player.
Yeah, true.
Okay, let's get stuck into the game, shall we? There's only 2 to go through, so let's take our time and be leisurely about it. On Friday, we've got the Blues and the Brumbies at Eden Park in Auckland. It's a 5:05 game. For the Blues, we've got Sam Derry returns from concussion protocols to replace Patrick Tuipulotu, who's unfortunately out for the season. Dalton Papali'i assumes the captaincy. Kenny Ioane is under an injury, declared with a calf injury, but he'll play. Aidan Choate would be his replacement. For the Brumbies, very important, James Slipper's back at loose head prop. Rory Scott starts at open side, with Jerome Brown moving to the bench. Brumbies have gone for a 6-2 split. My favourite whistleblower, James Dolman, is going to fuck this game up with Jono Brennan and Fraser Hannon and as the assistant refs. Carl, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think. Obviously the Brumbies are going to come out. They're going to open up fast, give it 100%. They're going to want quick ball because their forwards are going to struggle to compete, I think, against the Blues forwards, and they'll want to get the ball away from that contest area as fast as possible. They've certainly got the backs to run the ball. If the Blues give them space, then they're going to be very, very dangerous. The issue for me is, are their forwards going to be able to obtain the ball, and are they going to be able to get that ball away fast so that they don't get into a forward battle with the Blues? Because if they get into a forward battle with the Blues, I think they'll lose. It'll be interesting to see how James Slipper goes. I'm hoping he's fully recovered. It hasn't been bought in because it could be the last game and they need him. He's absolutely someone the Wallabies need. So let's hope he is okay and he comes in and he's fully fit, because he'll certainly help that scrum. They've got a good line out, the Brumbies. So at that phase, getting the ball quickly, kicking it out, and then winning line out is something they could look at. So it'll be interesting, I think. I think the Blues will take it. They're at home. I think they will be able to smash the Brumbies forwards up. And let's not forget, they've got some pretty bloody good backs in the back line themselves. So I think the Blues will win, but I think it's going to be a lot tighter than last week. And I think that the Brumbies might scare them initially.
Sully, your thoughts? Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this before. The Brumbies have got a 6-day turnaround, and they're currently undergoing, I think it's about a 12 or 14-hour trip to get to Auckland from Canberra. They've got to go to Melbourne and then spend about a 4-hour layover apparently, and then jump on a plane again, and away they go. So,
crap timing is that? It's good.
Oh, I know. So, but a 6-day turnaround doesn't make a lot of sense for mine. Just a bit silly on behalf of them. But anyway, it is what it is. Good teams overcome these obstacles. Sorry, Sully.
I think Patrick Tuipulotu, sorry, I've just butchered his name there. But yeah, he's a big loss for him. He does a lot of the grunt work in the into the dark places, and he organises a lot of their go forward. So I think he's a big loss. And if they lose Ioane as well, I know Carl's not a big fan of Ioane, either of the Ioanes, I think. But
Really, I hadn't noticed, mate.
But I think he's played pretty well this year, Akira. So yeah, if they lose him as well, even if he's under an injury cloud and he's only half good and he plays, he's still not going to be at his best. So the Blues, I don't think, are going to be quite as good as they have been. Having said that, I don't think James Slipper is going to be 100% either, and I don't think he's as good as he used to be. I think he's starting to show his age, James. So having said that, the Brumbies have stacked their bench. They're basically running 2 open sides on the bench. They've got Jerome Brown and Reimer on the bench, and they've got Frost, who's a 5'6", 4'6", whatever you want to call it, Nodder. And so they're running 6 forwards to try and offset the Blues pack. So I mean, they're doing their best to counteract the Blues game plan, but I don't think it's going to be enough, mate. I think the Blues are going to take this, but I'm not sure. I mean, who knows? After what I thought last week with the Reds Chief game going to be close, who knows what this could be? But I can't see the Brumbies getting steamrolled like the Reds did last week with the Chief. But I think the Blues can just take this. But I think it's, you got to say, with the travel, with the short turnaround, with it being in Auckland, with the home game for the Blues, you'd have to say all the odds are in the Blues' favour, and you'd have to say it's going to have to be a Blues win on this one.
Yeah. Look, interesting if I was asked to ask either of you perceptively who's got the better line out. Both of you would say the Brumbies. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think Charlie KARL. Darcy, Tom Hooper, yeah.
Statistically, the Blues have actually their lineout's running at 89.1% and the Brumbies at 87.1. So statistically, the Blues actually get a bit more ball. So
Statistically,
interesting.
that's pretty much exactly the same. I
It
reckon.
is. It is very, very close. But again, it's that thing. If I'd asked you, you'd have said,
Yeah.
"Oh, the Brumbies have got a better lineout."
Yeah.
So obviously the Blues can launch pretty well. So look, I think the Blues are a good team.
I think
We're in the
the
final
Blues have
four.
probably
We're in
got
the final four.
as good as Charlie KARL is. I think the Blues, mate, with Satutu at 8's probably got a bit of advantage there.
Yeah. Oh, look, he's playing some good footy.
And in the front row, I don't think Alan Alatoa is getting back to his best, but like with his layoff, he's taken a while to get back. I think, yeah, just on on the edge on the edges, I think the Blues have just got this in key little spots.
Yeah. No, I'm with both of you guys. I think the Blues are a very good team. They know how they want to play. They've got good coaching who gets them back on track when they get away from it. Papali is obviously a very good player. He's keeping a good player on the bench. And let's be honest, all four teams are good teams. These are the best four teams for the year. So, and there's no doubt about that. So, your record is what your record is. If I would love the Brumbies to win, but if I had to bet money that actually meant something to me, I'd back the Blues. So, but I think it'll be close. It'll be a try, maybe less than that. I don't see it blowing out. I just don't think the Brumbies are the sort of team that will go away.
And then you look at the Blues reserve props as Kurt Eklund and Angus Tarvaux up against Liam Barron and Cowtail. So, mate, no,
The Brumbies, Reece Van Neck and Safi Kaltai. Yeah. So
sorry,
they've gone with the Brumbies have gone with a 6-2 bench too, which could there's a risk involved with that.
Harrison Goddard covers a lot of places. But
covering a lot of places isn't the same.
Yeah, they've got a halfback and an outside back, basically, haven't they?
Yeah.
Well, here's the funny thing. Saps is an outside back, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Goddard is not a halfback, so they're going with one halfback. So that's where they're rolling the dice. Harrison Goddard is obviously the emergency halfback, but he ain't a halfback.
What's Harrison Goddard's speciality? Because I don't see him as a first five either, is he?
He's more of a 12, 13. So
they got to.
They're expecting Lonergan to run the game out. That is a risk because
Lonergan and Alicio are going to have to be there for the full 80 minutes. So
yeah, you'd expect Alicio to play the full 80, but Lonergan would be a concern.
I'm surprised. During the year they haven't actually played Alicio a lot in the full game. They've brought in what's his name?
Debrasini.
Yeah, Debrasini. He's in most of their games. Debrasini has either started with Alicio coming on, or Alicio started and then he's come on at the end. So I think Lonergan and Alicio, if they now have to play a full 80, it could.
Oh, actually, I might be wrong with Harrison Goddard. Just thinking about it, I think I had him mixed up with the other Crichton brother who's down there.
I thought he was a half.
My apologies.
But I don't trust myself with this type of thing. Did any of you think either team would suit Dolman's style of refereeing better?
I don't think rugby suits Dolman's style of refereeing.
Come on.
I'm absolutely 100% of that view. I think he is
Goddard is
not to this standard. Yeah, he is. So my apologies.
I disagree with you guys, obviously.
Clearly,
say anything negative about
because you disagree with us because he's never made a decision against a Kiwi team.
No, that's bullshit.
I just asked a question about his style with which team would suit his style of refereeing. I never said anything negative about his refereeing.
And and for me, James Dolman is a referee who wants a game to flow. He doesn't like lots of stop-start, and because of that, if he sees something occurring, his version as to whether it has a material impact or not can be quite different to others. I think he has the idea that a lot of play that occurs off the ball doesn't have a material impact, so he doesn't care about it, and that lets the game flow. The issue I find is that he's the sort of referee where captains have to be a lot smarter and they have to adapt to what he's doing. And when they don't, they struggle. So for me, the idea with James Dolman is that, and you know, everyone talks about he's a rubbish referee, he's a crap referee. If he was as bad as what people are saying, then what, Sanzar somehow doesn't pick it up and doesn't do anything, and you know, I just don't see that. This is a professional organisation. They would have reviewed his games, they would have talked to him about it, and obviously they're happy with the way he plays, because if they weren't happy, he wouldn't be getting the games. So I think the issue is that a lot of captains over here and a lot of coaches over here, and maybe the reason that affects Australian teams more than New Zealand teams is because the Australian coaches and captains are better at adapting.
Yeah. Well, with respect,
I completely disagree. He's an asshole.
With the least amount of respect possible. Let's dig into a little bit of last week's game. So you were banging on so hard about players hanging around on the wrong side of the ruck, mucking around with the players in defence and doing all that. In the 50-odd minute when I switched the Canes game off because I was about to throw my remote through the television, you know, the Canes guy comes through the ruck, he's fucking around with the Australian player, like just making an absolute mess of him, and then he gets pushed in the face and, oh, penalty, sorry. As opposed to he was hanging around on the wrong side of the ruck. He was deliberately keeping the guy out of the ruck. Go with me, Karl. Explain that one, buddy.
No, look, I can't explain it all. All I can explain is that the picture the referee had at the time, you got to remember, so when you're refereeing a game and something like that goes on, that's only about 10% of what you're looking at, because you're looking at the ball and what happens and everything else. So my view on something like that, and I'm not saying this happened, but as an explanation, Dolman would have been watching the game. He may have had a view that this guy was there, but he wouldn't have seen what he was doing because he was watching the ball and he was watching other things.
Mate, I reviewed the tape. He was watching the altercation.
Well, obviously he didn't think it was what you thought it was. He thought it was nothing in it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, this you've got to be, you know, as a referee, you're not going into a game and saying, I'm going to ignore this or I'm not going to do this. You can't do that. Otherwise, every time something happens, you can't make a decision.
I'm not suggesting that.
Yeah. So
what I'm suggesting is he's not up to the standard.
Yeah.
And hand on heart, ask me this question: Is he the second best referee in the competition? Because these are the last two games of the comp. Is he the second best ref? Is he better than Ben O'Keefe? No. Is he better than Nick Berry? No.
Yeah, but you've got to ask why were they not picked then?
Well, sorry.
Ben O'Keefe apparently lives in Auckland and is, you know,
he can't play.
He works
with the Auckland team. Yep. Yeah. So he can't be there. So
why can't he be doing the game in Wellington? And
I don't know. I don't know.
Doing the thing
because the people who are looking after these referees and selecting them and coaching them and guiding them through don't agree with your version that he's a crap referee. And so they give him the game. It's as simple as that, mate. You know, and it's like what you say. I watched this incident. I saw this. Well, if he had seen it that same way, he would have done something about it. So he obviously didn't see it in the same way that you saw it, which is why he didn't rule on it. I mean, that's just the way it is. You know, I referee a game and I make decisions on what I see. Other people see different things and see things in a different way, and I'm wrong. Well, you know, that's life, man. Get over it. That's how rugby works.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I just don't think he's up to the standard.
Yeah,
So,
well,
Why?
a lot of
I
senior
mean,
senior people in Sands, I think he is. So
yeah, we all totally
yeah,
respect their opinion.
nah, not always, and not about a lot of things, I must admit. But
Yeah.
I when I look at the games that Dolman referees, one of the things I'll say is that those games flow and they're better rugby and there's less stoppages. Honestly, that's something I like.
Yeah, yeah. I like a bit of contest. So yeah, but yeah, I just don't think he's
Hmm,
of the standard.
fair enough.
There's some other refs who I think are, and
I think Gardner's better, and I think Ben O'Keefe is better. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So why shouldn't they be doing the semis?
Yeah, maybe it would have been better, throw Dolman down to Wellington Hurricanes and put Angus
Reserve grade.
Gardner up there, but then I don't know.
No, I think they should have O'Keefe doing the Canes and the
Yeah, I think you'll find Ben O'Keefe doing the final. Maybe that's why he's not on this week because we've got him doing the
Not-
final.
If the Blues
not
make
if the
the
Blues
finals,
make
they're
it,
going to
mate.
be doing
Yeah,
that.
true. Yeah, well, in which case he's bad luck, Ben. You missed
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Anyway, we move on. I've had my little rant. The next game along, we've got the Hurricanes v the Chiefs at Sky Stadium in Wellington, commonly known as the Cape Town. Tyrell Lomax starts at tight end for the injured Xavier Namua. Brad Shields is back to captain the side from blindside flanker. Fullback Ruben Love returns from a knee injury. For the Chiefs, they've named an unchanged 23 from the side that beat the Reds last week. The referees Angus Gardner with Damon Murphy and Matt Callahan as the assistants. Carl, tell me why your Chiefs are going to dominate in this game.
Who's cheap?
Chiefs.
Oh, your Canes. I nearly got him.
You nearly got me. Yeah. No. I think the Canes will win. Absolutely, I think they'll win. I think the Canes have got better players in important positions. You're right. I mean, I'm still not 100% fan of DMAC at 10. I think he's much better coming in from deep because I think his vision allows him to see more and he allows to take more opportunities when he's playing deeper. And I think that the way the Reds beat the Chiefs in the first game is they completely nullified his play with some really fast attacking defence that went up and took his space away from him. And I think the Canes will absolutely do that so that he won't have the impact that he sometimes has in games. And I also think that when you look at Karifi, when you look at Brad Shields, Larkai, I think that the Hurricanes have got the players to nullify the Chiefs' attack and give them more threats than what a lot of other teams have during the season. So yeah, I think the Canes will win this. I think they're going to win this by 12 points.
Sully, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think out of the two games, this is the one that is more likely to be upset. But having said that, I know we agree all the time, but I think there's still the biggest chance this is the Hurricanes is going to win this. But yeah, there is a chance that the Chiefs can take this, but they're not going to get away with the same stuff that they got away with the Reds last week. The Chiefs, the Hurricanes will just put a stop to that straight away. So the Hurricanes, the Chiefs are going to want to come out quickly, and the Hurricanes, to tell the truth, have had a couple of slow starts over the last few weeks, and ease their ways into it. So there is a chance that the Chiefs could get on top early and try and stay in front for a while. But I think the Hurricanes will be wise to that and just try and shut everything down. So I think TJ Perinara's got too much smarts at halfback for just about everyone in the freaking game these days, and I think they're just going to have too much smarts and too much cohesion. I mean, they've had too much cohesion for just about everyone all year, and I think it's going to be too much for the Chiefs. I think they'll take it, but yeah, there is a chance that the Chiefs could take this, but I'd say it's like 20%, probably less, for me at least.
Yeah. I'm as much as I hate to say it, I am with you guys. I think if the Chiefs put together 40 minutes like they did last week, the first 40, they'll win the game. There's just no doubt. That was just champagne rugby. But I
I'll
don't
have to
think
put
they
together
will.
80 minutes, not 40 minutes, mate.
Yeah, but if you're 33-0 up at half time, you don't have to put together 80, my friend.
Yeah.
No one's coming back from that. No coach has ever sat at
See,
33-0 down and said, "We
see.
can win this, boys."
I actually think the Canes can if that happens, mate. I think the Canes have got the players. This is where I think the Canes have been so good this year is that, yeah, they've been a bit slow, but they seem to be able to change their game plan faster than a lot of other teams. And I think that if they were down by perhaps not 33 points, but if they were like 15 or 20 down at half time, I'd still back them to win.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't think they will. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm backing the Canes. I think they'll win just because they're a team that knows who they are and how they want to play, and they've got a maturity about their play that I really like. The Chiefs are a bit like, rabbits in a bag. If it all goes well, it looks awesome like it did last week. But they do have the capacity to lose to average teams. They'll be up for it. I think it'll be relatively close just because it's, outside in the cake tin in winter. But
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
well, there's a reason you live in Australia, buddy, and it ain't because Wellington's got beautiful weather.
Anyone ever asked me what I miss about New Zealand? The last thing I ever mention is the weather. That's for sure.
Yes, exactly. So look, they're both quality teams. It'll be a cracking game. Looking forward to watching it. In many respects, will enjoy watching it as a neutral. I think the Canes will win by less than a try. But in my heart of hearts, I want the Brumbies and the Chiefs to win so that there's a home final in Canberra. Just because of how much it will annoy people, my Kiwi friends.
Fuck yeah, it pissed me right off.
Look, So anyway, in terms of the table, look, these four teams have been the best all year, but interestingly, the Canes, the Blues, and the Brumbies actually only lost 2 games each all year. It was just bonus points that determined the table. So
Yeah.
just goes to show if the Brumbies had taken care of their business a little bit better, they would have been playing at home anyway. So that's what I think. I think the Chiefs will go close, but not quite get there. Right, that brings us on to our last segment, the shouting at clouds component, gents. I've probably already had my rant, so Sully, kick off, mate.
Yeah, look, I had a shouting at clouds to start with, but I think we've probably talked about it, but I'll go anyway. It was about referees. But not a dig at referees. It was a dig about people having digs at referees. Like, I moderate on the Green and Gold Rugby forums, and I'm into the game threads on Friday afternoon with the Reds and the Chiefs, and people are having to go at Ben O'Keefe, who was, all referees have a style, and Ben O'Keefe was doing Ben O'Keefe refereeing exactly like Ben O'Keefe does, and that people were complaining about, and I'm thinking, well, that's how Ben O'Keefe referees, and everyone knows how he referees, and every team should know how to play, when Ben O'Keefe referees you. So why would you complain about him? And we were getting flogged, and people were saying, well, Ben, it's all the ref's fault. And I'm going, well, bullshit. It's not the ref fault. We're getting flogged. And the same thing happened on Saturday with James Dolman, who had the Rebels game. Was he on the Rebels game?
He was, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, well, James Dolman was refereeing exactly like James Dolman referees, and some people hate it, Bill, and some people don't mind it, Carl. And I'm sort of, well, that's how James Dolman referees, and he must do an all right job because he doesn't get sacked. But people are going off in the forums. So you know how these guys referee. You know what you're getting. The teams know what they're getting. They're not doing a bad job. They're just doing the job how they do it. And there's no point going off in it because if they were doing a bad job, they'd be sacked, and they're not getting sacked. So every referee gets reviewed after every game. They go through what they've done. They do video edits just like teams do. So they're the third team on the team on the field, and they get reviewed and they get checked. And if they stuff up, their coaches or their bosses come and talk to them and show them what they did wrong. So just let it go, guys. That's my bits for you.
It's interesting. I think one of the problems, I mean, first of all, we're all completely biased supporters, and
100%.
We absolutely see things that go against our team, and we don't see the same thing happening against the other team. And one thing I'd say for Dolman is that I think he's pretty consistent against both teams when he referees. I don't think that he lets one team get away with something more than another. I think we see that because we're looking for things for our team. But I think one of the problems that I see with refereeing and the way it goes and allows that sort of complaint is that the referees never explain why things happen, why they made a decision, what the decision was and what their thought process was. I've seen Ben O'Keefe has done it a couple of times, and I think Charlie put up a link once on one of our blogs, and he come out and he talked about an incident in the game, and he talked about the process he went through for making that decision, which was really good. I can see why they don't do that, because people would question the process and would question what they saw anyway. But I think that you got to remember that when you're refereeing, you get a microsecond to make a decision, and that decision is based on the picture that's formed in your head at the time. Now, that picture that you see is based entirely on your experience, your bias, and how you see the game being played. I know, for example, that when I referee, I give a lot less penalties to the defending team than I do to the attacking team, and I've got a bias for attacking rugby. So I have to be very clear when I go into a game that I understand that bias, and when I see something, I need to make sure I'll blow the whistle, but before I make a decision, I need to have a rethink about, was it real or was it my bias coming through? And this is club rugby, which is slow, and you get time to do that. Quite often at that higher speed, that they just don't get time. They see something, they make a decision, they have to go bang, and they've got to move on. So we don't see what the referee sees. We don't understand the bias and what the picture is the referee's making his decision on, and we're only looking at it from our team's point of view. All of those three things added together means that that's where a lot of this argument against the referee comes from. I don't think you'll ever change. I'm really lucky. I'm half deaf from my service in the army, so there's been many a game where I've come off and someone's been saying, "Oh, that person was giving you shit during the game," and I didn't react because I didn't hear it. It wasn't that I'm cool, calm, and collected. It's just that I'm too deaf to hear it, so I just keep going on as though I never said it. So that helps. But yeah, it's just something we have to face, and players get carried away, supporters get carried away, and when you look at it, they do it because they love the game and they want the game to play, and they're excited and passionate. Do we really want to kill that off?
Yeah, 100%.
Look,
I agree.
Respectful referee. Time referee, but those guys have put a lot of effort into being very good at their jobs and being at the pinnacle of their trade.
Yeah,
and
look, I agree. I agree with you guys, and that's why in my thing against my good mate Mr. Dolman, I never say anything about him as a person. I'm sure he's a lovely bloke, be a good bloke to have a beer with. Maybe not. Who knows? But I tend to look at a body, particularly when you're looking at this level of of officiating. I think you've got to look at the body of work, and in my view, that's where you look at it and go, is he up to the standard? And that's my argument about particularly him getting this game. Shouldn't be, this is a semi-final of a pretty important provincial rugby tournament in the world game, we should be putting our 2 best officials in it. I don't think he's in the 2 best. I don't know where he ranks beyond the 2 best, but he ain't the 2 best.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think the 2 best in our comp are Angus Gardner and Ben O'Keefe.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
But
I love the work
pretty
Ben O'Keefe
close
does
to
on
those
this, yeah.
two. I wouldn't say he's not up to it. I would say that I don't like his style. I prefer, I'm trying to say it diplomatically. I prefer Angus Gardner's style of refereeing to his. I prefer Ben O'Keefe's style of refereeing to his. But, you know, we all have our favourite referees. And I'm sure people like James Dolman's style of refereeing out there, but I'm not one of them.
Like me.
Yeah, perhaps.
One of the things that gets me about all the talk of refereeing, and there was a huge piece about this in that other site that we shan't mention, is the idea that somehow referees don't know what's happening in a scrum. You know, it's like
I'm not having that.
Yeah, referees train and they learn. You know, I mean, even at my level, we had a All Black coach come to one of our training sessions, and we spent 2 full days with, you know, one of the best scrum coaches in New Zealand, going through the scrum and what happens and what each person is doing on the part of the field when they're in attack and when they're in defence and everything else. And then we had, you know, All Black props come in and say, these are the things I do to try and get away, and this is what I'm doing to try and win my side of it. Now, and this is me at club level, suburban club level in Sydney. You know, a guy like Angus Gardner, Ben O'Keefe, James Dolman, they spend so much time with these specialist people. I think the issue is that they know more about scrums than even some of the players do, and they know exactly what's going on. And I sit there and I listen to these ignorant commentators and ignorant other people saying, oh, the referee just guessed at that. You know, how did he know what's going on? That's just guesswork. That shits me to tears. What? So referees learn about everything except scrums? Yeah.
And the thing is, with respect to scrums, the player involved, like say you're the tight head and you've gone, well, I've won my side, but if your loose head on the other side's had his ass handed to him, then you don't see that because you're the tight head. You know, you're down in that position. You've won. You know, you've won your side of the scrum, but the other side of the scrum's gotten decimated. Then you know you're getting upset, like Alatoa did last week. He got upset because he'd won his side of the scrum. It's just the other side of the scrum got beaten worse.
Yeah.
So he'd won his competition, but the others. So he won 10-6. The other guy lost 9-1 kind of thing. So the referee made his call it that way. So
it's interesting, but you know, I just find it, you know, like, mate, this is tin hat conspiracy theory, and don't get me wrong, I believe in conspiracy theories to a certain extent. If you ever go to Egypt and you have a look at the way people 3,000 years ago managed to build things and people today can't, the conspiracy theory has a basis of fact behind it, but
Look, I love a good tinfoil hat. Honestly, love it. Live for that sort of stuff. Carl, what are you going to shout about, mate?
I think I've had my shout, mate.
Yeah,
I think I've had my shout. I haven't got really anything else, you know. Go the Canes.
Yeah. Hey, look, I obviously had my little rant about Mr. Dolman. I just, as I say, I don't have anything against the bloke, but I just don't think he's the second best ref in the comp. We move on.
Oh, for all we know, that Ben O'Keefe might be injured. We had no idea.
Could be, but I don't think he's in the top 4 anyway. So, but again, that's just me with my bias.
And we've all got biases, mate.
Mate, absolutely.
I know I've got heaps.
Yeah, and the good thing is to sometimes challenge them by doing something that you're not comfortable with. Listen to somebody who you disagree with and see how they challenge your view. But anyway, a different story. Anything else, gents?
Nah, it's all for me, mate. Have a great weekend and go the Canes.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, again, if you're still listening, Sully, anything else to add? Sorry.
Brumbies chief, mate.
Yeah, Brumbies Chiefs.
Get stuff.
More of it. More power, my friend. Carl won't be here next week if that happens. If you're still listening again, thanks for listening in. Download, rate, subscribe, review, do all those good things to help us get grow the show. Enjoy your rugby on the weekend. If you get the chance, go out and see a community game and put some money over the bar. They certainly appreciate it. And enjoy your rugby. Bye for now.
If you don't know anything about rugby, don't talk.
Regan. Drop goal from Larkham.
Australian 3-4, they've got the advantage.
Worst press conference. Well done, boys.